26 motherfucking title defenses. No one touches that.
Mm-hmm.
No one's touching that.
Wasn't he like 205 pounds?
Yeah. Yeah, 205 pounds.
Which was huge for those days.
Yeah, he was big then. I think when he fought, so his fight with Max Schmeling, that's probably one of the biggest fights. And this is in a time when boxing was the biggest sport in the world.
That and horse racing, yeah.
At this time, boxing was the biggest. This was around what was it, like the late 30s, I believe.
You're talking about Joe Louis?
Joe Louis, yeah. Joe Louis, Max Schmeling 2. Look up the date of that fight. So this, I think, was on like the eve of World War II.
Yeah.
And basically, the president calls up Joe Louis. Hitler's got Max Schmeling, German guy, already knocked out Joe Louis in their first fight. Louis said, "I'm not the champ until I beat Max Schmeling." Hitler's like taking, even though they say Schmeling was a good guy, and that he wasn't down with what Hitler's saying. Hitler's saying, "I got the master race, I got the best boxer in the world," all this shit. Joe Louis basically did it for like all the free world.
For America, baby.
It's 1938.
38.
Was that Christian? Is that before or after Joe Louis and not Joe Louis? Who am I thinking of in the Olympics? The same.
Shit.
Jesse Owens. Jesse Owens. Yeah. Is that just check to see when Jesse Owens won the?
I think that was 36.
Was 36?
I believe so.
So Jesse Owens sets the stage, and now then Hitler wants it even worse with Max Schmeling.
Yeah, and the president called him before the fight and was like,
Roosevelt.
Yeah, it was like, you gotta do this for America, man. Like,
hey,
we need you to, like, think about fucking pressure.
Big win here, bud.
We think we got pressure? That ain't, that's fucking pressure. You're about to do it for the world.
It was 1936.
That was Jesse Owens. And 39 is Joe Louis.
Believes for the Olympics.
Jesse Owens, Joe Louis, yeah. And he ends up knocking him out in the first round.
Wow. The Bronx Bomber.
And Schmeling would like sit back
The Brown Bomber, right?
He would sit back and just like, he had like a weird sense where he
had, like,
just
the old English thing?
He's just looking to boom, throw that. The old English thing you're talking about, that's almost like now we're going back to the early days of boxing. We go back to the Boston Strong Boy. Remember that guy?
No.
Pull his ass up. John L. Sullivan.
Oh, that's Don L. Sullivan's the Boston Strong Boy?
Boston Strong Boy, bro. He'd fight like they'd fight like this, kind of like the Notre Dame thing.
Yeah.
You know why that was?
Because they grapple, and they were punching into the body mostly, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
There was a lot of grappling. It's more like a fight, almost more like an MMA.
It's before the Marquis de Queensberry rules, right? Where you couldn't grab, and the Marquis. I don't know what the story behind that is.
I don't know exactly either. But yeah, it was more like a fight.
Yeah.
There
John
it
L.
is.
Sullivan.
So they'd throw a lot to the body. That's why back then these fights would go like 40 rounds, and people were like, "Whoa, they were just built different then." Yes, they were built different, but it was a different game. You know what I mean? You can't. They're not punching each other in the head because they don't want to break their hands and not be able to fight next week and not get paid. You know,
actual prize fighters. They're just out there making.
That's how they made their living.
Earning a buck. That's earning a buck the hard way, right there, buddy.
That guy's got some cool stories.
John L. Sullivan.
Yeah.
There was a big picture of him and Jack Dempsey in an Irish bar I used to bounce at, and they would like. It was I didn't know that he was.
Dempsey's up there, one of the top heavyweights ever.
Apparently, Customato took Dempsey's style, and that's where he started with.
Peekaboo style. Floyd Patterson. And then, he had Floyd Patterson, who I believe was the youngest heavyweight champion. Then he broke his own record, Customato, with Mike Tyson.
That's right. Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, that peekaboo style, they ingrained that in those guys young, and it was devastating. Tyson could punch from both sides, big left hook, big right hand, big uppercuts. You know what I mean? A lot of
activity.
Yeah. A lot of fighters are like, they're good, they're better on like one side. You know, like we're talking about Bear and Schmeling with their right hands. Deontay Wilder, big right hand. Frazier, left hook. Tyson could do both.
With power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Power.
And he could do it to the body and to the head too.
Yeah.
I mean, young Tyson was unreal. I mean, just think about it. He was the heavyweight champion of the world, 19 years old. You think, like, you look on the streets right now, would you think a 19-year-old could whoop your ass?
Nah.
Like, dude, this was the baddest
there was a
planet.
There was a 17-year-old champion.
No.
Not heavyweight. Look him up for me, Christian. I forget his name. I think he's a Hispanic cat. But he was 17 years old. He started like fighting when he was like 6.
Well, that kid in Vegas at the Christos fight who fought after Christos, that kid's like 18 or 19, isn't he?
Yeah. Raul Rosas.
That
He's the
kid
youngest
is-
kid in the UFC.
He's
right
game.
now. Yeah, he's a tough kid.
He's game, dude.
Yeah.
He stands in the pocket, no
Yeah.
fear.
Yeah. Yeah, poor kid. He's like everybody in the company hates me.
Why?
I mean, he's. I think they're just hating on him.
Because he only
They're
knows
hating on him.
curse words in
They're
English.
hating on
People
him.
hate because of how he looks. That's literally
Nah,
it.
yeah, and it's a good thing he could fight because he's not much of a looker.
But he
He's
looks
got a
like
crazy
a fighter.
fight, but he's a fucking great fighter.
He just had a great
He's a
finish,
great.
too.
He's a
Great
no, he's a great fighter. He's a young kid. People should be giving him love. But at the same time, trust me, I experienced it going into UFC being green. It's a dog eat dog world, baby. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You're getting some shine and haven't had as much experience.
That's my shine.
We want
I paid
that.
my dues.
Fuck yeah, the big target on your back. Embrace that shit.
Mm-hmm.
That
Embrace
boxing
it.
champion, by the way, is Wilfred El Radar Benitez, and he was 17 years old.
Wilfred Benitez. Yeah, Wilfred
17.
Benitez.
years
WBA
old.
super light welterweight championship with a
17
15-round
years old.
split decision
And
victory.
now we've been talking about a bunch of
But where's he?
heavyweights.
Is he Dominican? Because then he might actually be 30.
Puerto
so-
Rican.
Well, no, that's probably 17.
Now we've been talking a bunch of heavyweights. We haven't even touched on Muhammad Ali, the George Foremans, all these guys. Klitschko,
Sonny Liston.
Klitschko's who didn't have a very fan friendly style.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy amount of title defenses. I think like 17.
Well, you know who my favorite heavyweight of all time is? You know this.
Lennox Lewis.
That's right.
That's one of my favorites as well.
And unheralded here in America.
Unheralded, like not high regarded.
Not high regarded.
Yeah.
Even Michael Moore, before I did the research on the episode, I didn't realize. I knew Michael Moore was the champ, but I really just remember him from losing to Foreman, really.
Right.
I don't even remember his 2 fights with
When he
Holyfield,
beat
really.
Holyfield, yeah.
You know, but going back and watching that dude, that Michael Moore was a monster. For him not to be in the
hell
Hall
yeah.
of Fame is insanity.
For sure.
It's insane. You know, I don't care if he was mean to the media. The dude, his record as a light heavy alone, Hall of Fame worthy before he
agree.
even moved to heavyweight. That's nuts. That's nuts.
I agree. And hopefully they'll make right on that. I think there's still time where they can, and they should.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lennox Lewis, one thing that makes him great, everybody he lost to, he beat.
Yeah. Shouldn't have lost them in the first place, though. You know when he lost to Rockman, he admitted he didn't train like more than a week for that fight.
Really?
He was filming, I think, Snake Eyes with Nicolas Cage. And he
That's
like
some heavyweight shit.
he just trained. He was like, he threw like a couple jabs, like, I'm good. All right, let's do this
Yeah.
thing. You know, and Rockman rocked him. Just goes to show you.
Hakeem Rockman.
Hakeem Rockman, man.
Yeah.
Rockman's son's fighting now, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget. He fought someone recently. I can't remember who. But I wanted to talk about a few of the lighter weight guys too.
Go for it.
All right. So obviously on my shirt we got Roberto Duran, who I believe would probably translate into the best MMA fighter of boxers, because he kind of still had a little bit of that grappling style, and he was just a fucking animal. He was an animal. They were recording one time. They were recording him down in Panama, and he's sitting there. They're sitting at like a picnic table. You know, ESPN's there interviewing him. And like I said, this dude's a savage, man. Comes from a different place. Sitting at a table. So take that with a grain of salt when I tell this story. A little cat jumps up on the table, goes over. Roberto kind of grabs it, picks it up. Schwack! Just throws the cat against the wall and kills it. Turns back around, like sips his coffee.
Just murders the
Just
kitty?
murdered the cat for fun, just because it was like there.
Jesus Christ.
Savage.
It's like sociopathic shit. Like,
Yeah, no, it's
that's
a
like,
little sick.
yeah,
It's a little sick, but
I like eating pork chops.
he might have ate the cat after. We don't
oh
know.
my
That could have been
God.
hunting. We don't know. We you know what I mean? We live in our own world where
I was gonna
we
def-
look at them as
I was going to defend Roberto Duran because in popular culture, he's only remembered contemporarily for
No Mas?
quitting. And, you know, he had over 100 fights, stone hands. He was a monster. I mean, he basically beat Sugar Ray Leonard's eye out of his head. And, yeah, we just remember from No Mas. But now, after hearing he's a kitty murderer, fuck Roberto Duran. Like, good.
well, he's a part of that great time in our father's era.
Hearns, Hagler,
were the
Hearns,
middleweights, exactly.
yeah.
Hagler, Hearns, Sugar Ray Leonard, and him. And Sugar Ray Leonard and him had some great ones. He psyched out Sugar Ray Leonard. So there's also like these boxers who are great at the psychological warfare. You got guys like I think Jack Johnson was kind of one of the originators of it. Then you got guys like Sonny Liston.
Yeah.
Sonny Liston is, and George Foreman was one too, where he'd be a cold brother.
Well, that's what
standing
makes Ali is people were legitimately afraid of Sonny Liston. They were legitimately afraid of George Foreman. And Ali's like, he's a lion tamer. He's like, I heard you bad. You ain't bad. Pa, 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 pa. You ain't bad. Pa, 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 pa. Just beat them. Like mentally beat them down.
Fixed?
That's the word. That's the word.
It's not confirmed.
That's the word.
It is a possibility.
I haven't watched it, but my old trainer, Danny Duffy, great guy, New Jersey Golden Gloves, watched like every boxing match ever in history. And he goes, if it's not fixed, Sonny Liston fought like he never fought before or after. He fought in a way, a manner, and a style he never fought before or after. Yeah. So he's like, but it's Ali.
He also might have been murdered.
Yeah. Well, he
overdosed, he was involved in some bad shit
for the mob.
I don't know that he was.
He was absolutely was, and not only he collected. He did dirt.
Cleveland, right?
Yeah, he did. He did dirt.
Cleveland.
I'm not sure.
Sonny Liston was he got too popular in boxing, and the mob got mad at him because then he couldn't collect anymore. They'd be like, "Hey, you're Sonny Liston."
And he was there to go break an ankle.
No, I'm not.
Or
knee breaker. I saw you on the telly, son. Yeah. Well, shit.
He's from Arkansas.
Yeah, but I think he cut his bones in the Midwest though. I think Mick's right.
Cut his bones, pun intended. Cut his teeth.
Yeah, that's Ali too. People forget Cassius Clay, the private Louisville, Kentucky, bro. Cassius, that dude.
You'll call him Muhammad. You will call him Muhammad.
His mama call him Clay. I'm gonna call him Clay. So.
Well, Don King was from Cleveland, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, one of my favorite real favorites is though, and everyone can watch a great movie on him. Jake LaMotta.
Raging Bull.
The Raging Bull. You can see Robert De Niro play Jake LaMotta.
Another not great human being, as it turns out.
Is that right?
Beat up the women pretty good.
That's not good. Yeah. That's frowned upon.
Frowned upon. Well, he was Italian, so like, you know.
Yeah, they speak with their hands in more than one way sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of Italians, hold on real quick. I just learned this. And Christian, you're going to love this.
Marciano? No, I'm just kidding.
No, the average size of a Roman soldier, what do you think? These people took over the world.
5'3".
They're like 5'5", 150. That was like the average size of a Roman century. Can you imagine?
5'3", 150?
Can you imagine 1,000 Christians,
Christians?
1,000 Christians showing up in short shorts and sandals and being like, this land is ours. You're like, get the fuck out of here.
That would be a problem for real.
Like, seriously, you got a whole bunch of like Viking-blooded, Gallic people. So you're rolling into Mickey's village, or you're rolling into my ancestors' village.
They
and
rolling into my village.
It's 5,000 Christians.
My people are from the Germanic tribes. We lived right above those Roman faggots, and we were okay.
Nah, not really.
I survived.
Somebody did.
How many Mickeys would it take to beat 5,000 Christians?
Well,
10 or 11.
Well, I tell you, the Roman legion was the strong thing. So it's not one Christian; it's 5,000 Christians all
we're
moving
up in trees, bro.
Can you imagine?
We're up in trees, and then we're hopping in the water. You know what I mean?
I want to get you in a full Roman sentry outfit one time, and let me just say, it isn't intimidating at all. Like you get you in the sandals. And be like, this guy
chaps,
steroid me up for a few weeks.
I don't think they're on steroids. What were they doing? They were marching 20 miles a day. They were probably lighter than you.
That's good for you. That's so healthy for you. It's so good for you to walk. People used to do that a lot.
They definitely didn't have underwear. They definitely didn't have underwear. They were sunning their balls. Their balls were getting exposure.
I don't know about the sun and the balls thing. I've never sunned my balls.
Yeah.
But just because it seems like a difficult thing to pull off.
5'6",
but that makes sense.
150. These guys took over the world.
It's a different time. People were smaller. Like we just talked about in the heavyweights were 180, 190, and this was just 100 years ago.
Yeah.
We're talking so many years ago. I don't think they're small for that day. You know.
Well, maybe. I mean,
they said, remember David and Goliath?
Yeah.
They said, guess how tall they said Goliath was?
Tell me he's like 6'1".
6'6".
6'6".
They're like, that's a real giant. It's a real giant.
It was probably Shaq, right? Like, I mean, imagine if like Kevin Durant showed up and these people would be like, "What the fuck? Is this a god?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh my God. The Romans were 5'6", $150, wearing sandals, took over the world. Wild. Crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just insane to really think about it.
Who's your favorite boxer ever, G?
Ever? Of all time?
Or actually, no. First, who's your favorite Roman dictator or general? Your call.
Man, I can go on for that for a while. I like.
Give me one.
Okay.
Okay, one in an honorable mention. All right, 6. Fine, dude. Whatever.
Gaius Deulii Caesar, a.k.a. Julius Caesar, was a bad motherfucker.
Yeah.
And we know that because he wrote about how bad of a motherfucker that he was.
Brutak came in there,
Bam!
stabbed him,
and two.
And a whole bunch of other people.
Yeah, there was a general became emperor for like a day named Germanicus, who was a bad motherfucker. Yeah, there was
he
a
took
lot
over
of
Germany.
yeah, he subdued, and his son Caligula kind of fucking
Kind of piece of shit.
well.
A lot of these great men kind of piece of shit.
Yeah, but Caligula is very interesting because he might be the very first victim of propaganda in history.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
It might not be true. They might have made that shit up about him.
The elites hated him, and he treated the elites like shit. And then after he died, the elites, history is written by the victors. So the idea of like him screwing his sisters and his mother and stuff like that,
That's probably not true.
Probably,
huh?
maybe it
now
is,
That,
maybe
now
it
that you
isn't.
say that, it's kind of like,
yeah. So like the whole idea that he made his horse counsel, it like they made it because he was crazy. But it wasn't. It was a fuck you to the elites. I like my horse better than I like any of you fucks. That's what it was.
Yeah. My horse is more fit to run this
Yeah.
country than
He
you.
was a child star. He was Germanicus' son. So Caligula means little boots. So he would dress up like his dad. And when his dad would come through on these triumphs, Caligula would be in the chariot next to him and he'd be like, oh, he was like JFK Jr.
Right.
And then, anyway. But my favorite boxer, do you have a favorite Roman emperor or general?
I mean, I guess I'm trying to pick one other than Caesar. I know this one doesn't count because he wasn't one, but Alexander the Great. I've read a lot about him.
Yeah.
His father was his father was a great man too, but he didn't have that curse where
his father Darius? No, Philip, right? Philip of Macedon.
Yeah. Where a lot of times they, there's that drop off. Like who's our guy? The Stoicism, Marcus Aurelius. Like his son.
Yeah.
And
Real
this
piece
is one
of
of the
shit.
most pious, like great men of history.
Yeah.
People are still into the Stoicism.
A lot of great men are not great fathers. A lot of the most successful men I know are shitty husbands and shitty fathers. Great businessmen, leaders of men,
right,
people you look up to.
Their name is remembered
incredible
not for what
mentors.
they did as a not for what they did as a father, but what they did in the world.
Yeah,
The way
Ted
they
Williams.
shaped the
I mean,
world.
Ted Williams' kids hated him.
Yeah.
Benjamin Franklin's kids hated him. You know, and I mean, these are two of the greatest Americans of all time. It's just weird how that works out. It's very difficult to. And I'm sure
great at everything.
Well, you've seen it. You've grown up with it. I've grown up with it. It's very difficult to kind of build a personal empire, a business empire, and have the time to put into your family as well.
Right.
It's very difficult to manage that. It's hard to prioritize. And if you prioritize your family, you're going to miss out on business.
Right.
I hope because of automation that gets easier and stuff with like Zoom meetings and all that stuff. But it's not the same as doing things in person.
Nah, for sure.
Hard to say no to you in person.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to say no over text or email. It's like that's the real value I didn't realize growing up. I'm always like, why aren't these things done over phone? Just make the phone call. Yeah. It's hard to say no to somebody in person.
Right.
Real easy to say no over an email. So we got to have this meeting in person, and then we can figure it out right then and there. But yeah, one of my favorite Caesar quotes, and maybe the best general of that whole era was Hannibal, who almost conquered Rome from Carthage. What a beast he was! He was awesome. Killed himself at the end. They chased him until he was like 70 years old Who
was Hannibal's enemy?
Rome.
Right. Was it Caesar?
No.
Who was Caesar's enemy that he who was in charge before Caesar?
Caesar's main enemies?
I forget all these guys' names.
Pompey.
So that's not it.
Caesar's main opponent was Pompey, who was basically his best friend and his mentor. It was a civil war. Caesar started the civil war, and he kind of, they were passing by on their way to conquer Gall, where he killed over 1 million people, by the way. Some might call it a genocide, but different time. So he's on his way, and they're passing by these little like tent cities that are just outside the Roman borders. And one of his generals was going, "Ugh, would you look at this? Like, how gross is this? Who would ever want to live here?" And Caesar goes, "I would rather rule here than be second in Rome." And set the tone right there. Let everybody know, like, this is what it is. We're kicking some ass, gonna get a whole lot of wealth. And then we come back.
Who was Caesar's sponsor?
Oh,
there was a money guy.
Claudius. You know how he died?
No.
He tried to conquer.
He did on his own?
He tried to conquer. Yeah, so all these generals, they were kind of like more like mob bosses. They all had their Roman legions.
Right.
And then they had to conquer, rape, pillage, steal for the glory of Rome. And that's how they maintained their their clout back home, and that's how they paid their soldiers. Why did Caesar's legions follow him into Rome? Because these dudes got paid. And they knew that when they had won so much, they knew that once the boss takes over, they're getting paid again. So it was like kind of fiefdoms, right? It wasn't like a country like you think of it today. Like, they were Romans, but they were Caesar's guys.
Right.
This is House Colombo. This is how Gambino.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So Claudius tries to conquer parts of Persia. Unsuccessful.
Why do he have so much money? Because of his.
He was a landlord. Even back then, it's aristocratic, family money, and then he landlord. But they melted gold because they knew how rich he was. They melted gold and poured it down his mouth, and he died. That's how he died. Yeah, and thus his reign ended.
Yes. Didn't that happen in Game of Thrones?
They kind of. George R.R. Martin took it from that.
Who'd they do that to in Game of Thrones?
Spoiler alert. The last male Targaryen, Daenerys' older brother.
Okay,
Viserys.
yeah. And he wasn't supposed to be able to get burnt alive anyway. He should have been able to house that if he was the true
That's what
dragon.
she said. The fire can't kill a dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, fucking molten gold.
Yeah, it wasn't fire.
That cools can.
Nah, fucking Daenerys would have sipped that like coffee.
Yeah, Hannibal was a beast. Like, all those guys were beasts, man. Like, they did some wild shit. Caesar did some wild shit. There's something romantic. There was just that whole thing, like that meme thing last week about how often do you think of Rome? Because that's back when men could like put their destiny in their own hands. That's why we love MMA fighters. That's why we love boxers. That's why we love athletes on a certain degree. Your destiny's in your hands.
Well, you can draw inspiration from all these things because doing what Caesar did, or being a professional boxer or an MMA fighter, that's the reason why we have fans and stuff, because they could draw inspiration from what we do. It's a hard thing to do. Yeah. It's not an easy thing to do.
But the idea is if you can do it, I can do it.
Exactly.
That's the idea, really.
That's what brother, how many times I said, if one man can do it, any man can do it. Mm-hmm. And I even have a caveat to that. If one man could do something, one man could do something, any man could do something.
Yeah.
Unless you're a bitch.
Unless
you're, if you're on a football team and you lose that game and they stuff you down.
Yeah.
If you're a bitch and you just, I'm just gonna
wait for the whistle.
No, you just stay there.
Wait for the whistle.
You just stay there then. But if you're a man's gonna rise up and is gonna elevate from that.
What do I, Godfather? What do I do? What do I do?
You can act like a man.
5,000 Christians showing up at your door. 5,000. I'm not gonna say Christian anymore because I think people are thinking like the religion. 5,000 Pirellos.
Yeah, CPs.
Outside your castle walls.
Oh, I got a castle.
Like, yeah, well, you got a rampart.
I got a castle.
You got a rampart.
Oh, you fucked then, dude. You ain't getting in my castle.
5,000 of them. And you're like, what are those little guinea bastards doing over there? What is that? Is that a siege engine? Is that a catapult? A trebuchet? What the hell is that?
A trebuchet?
Is that a trebuchet? And then 5,000 of these little bastards come walking up like, sounding like Joe Pesci. Hey,
All right.
this could go one of two ways. You could either be a
this
vassal.
castle is ours now.
Whether you know it or not, this castle is ours. We could do it the hard way, or we could do it the fun way. It's your choice. And there it is. Next thing you know, the Roman Empire is born. It's one of my favorite scenes from The Sopranos. One of my favorite scenes of all time, where they get the
Hasidic.
The Hasidic. They're shaking down the Hasidic for his hotels, and he's like, "My people have been around for 10,000 years. We're the Romans."
No, he's like the Romans. They tried to conquer us.
Oh, Mossad. That's right. Tells the story of Mossad.
He's like, but the Romans, where are they now? And
You're
Tony
looking
said-
at them.
Tony said, "You're looking at them."
You're looking at them.
Favorite boxer?
Favorite boxer. When I was a kid, Tyson was next level. Tyson was must see TV. It was incredible. But stylistically, like as I got older, like watching the style of fighter, I really came to appreciate, what kind of like Floyd Mayweather was. The ability to strike, get hit without getting hit. I mean, that's boxing, right? Like the difference between boxing and
That's
fighting.
the sweet science.
Yeah. But I don't know if I ever, there were so many good fighters when I was growing up, man. There were so many great fighters. And there was fights you didn't like. Like, I remember looking forward to Ward Gotti 2 like it was the Super Bowl. Like, Ward Gotti 2 was like, man, I can't wait to see this fight. There was guys that were great fighters and nobody even remembers now. Like, I remember Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker was awesome to watch.
That's a fun watch, for sure.
Tito Trinidad. Oscar De La Hoya would stand in the pocket and throw. These guys fought a lot. They would fight like 3-4 times a year too. So you got to kind of know these guys and get interested in them. Like I don't know shit about Tank Davis now. I don't know shit about. I didn't care about Charlo Canelo. Did you care really?
I was interested, but yeah, I think the Charlo brothers are good, and Canelo's one of the best of this generation.
Yeah.
One of the best. Mexican boxers ever.
I think I loved it because watching my father lose his mind every time this guy fought was one of my favorite things.
You said Canelo's Irish?
He's he's Mexican.
I know, but you said didn't you say that because there's a lot of people in Mexico who have
European descent, the same way in America. I don't know if he's Irish, but I can look into it. I think I heard him say that sometime or something like that. Like he was
if he did an ancestry test, he'd come back because what's his name, Louis C.K. Mexican, but looks just like an Irish guy. You know what I mean? Red hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you hear what he said on Rogan about the border? About how it should be open because we don't deserve to have a good country?
Yeah.
It's a weird way to think.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people do think like that.
I didn't like that.
It was like
I didn't like that. I didn't feel that.
So you're admitting that this is making us worse and weaker, but it's okay because we don't deserve what we have. It was kind of like a pull back the veil to that kind of thinking.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, all right, so these people are trying to destroy us. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks for admitting it at least. The whole rich guilt, white guilt, rich guilt thing drives me out of my fucking mind. It's so destructive.
Yeah.
Like you feel bad about how good life is for you, so you have to ruin it for the rest of us.
Yeah.
My life ain't that good. I'd like my life to be better.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm sorry. You think things are so good for you that you feel guilty about it. Give me some of your money, Louis, give me some of your money. If all of those millions are such a burden for you to bear, I am happy to help you shoulder that burden, my friend. Give me all your stuff and go live in poverty. Mickey says it's good for you to walk outside.
Louis was really big time until that whole jerking off thing, huh?
Yeah. He got me too'd hardcore. I think even that was kind of bullshit,
I felt that way as well.
You're in the man's hotel room at 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
He's married. What are you here for?
Right.
Tea and crumpets?
Yeah.
I just want to talk. Let's talk about our feelings. Yeah? Okay. Well, you can talk about your feelings. I'm going to jerk off in front of you.
Do you mind if
Everybody
I do this?
wins. What a gentleman that he asked, by the
Yeah.
way. What a gentleman. And then they wait 8 years to talk about it?
Yeah.
I don't know about that. The same thing with this Russell Brand stuff. 17 years. My favorite fighter.
And then Christian, you gotta give your favorite
My favorite boxer to watch, man. Shit. Yeah, dude. I don't know, man. There was just so many good fighters. I feel like I should say Butterbean.
Butterbean's great.
I feel like I should say Butterbean.
Yeah.
Honestly, dude, my favorite fighter to watch of all time is probably John Jones.
Okay, so
It's probably John
you're
Jones.
going back to fighter, not
My
boxer.
favorite.
I
I'm
want
just
boxer.
always so impressed with Jones. He just figures out a new way to win every time. Favorite boxers? Tyson, young Tyson. Young Tyson.
Christian, who you got?
I do like, and I heard this from Rogan, and I checked him out a few years ago, but Gerald McClellan. Have you heard of him?
Dude, what a fucking tragic story.
Yeah.
That's a tragic story
What
for
do you
people
like
that don't
about
know.
him?
His hook, his left hook.
Yeah.
Mini Mike Tyson.
What's his whole story?
He had a fucking he had a brain bleed in one of his fights and kept fighting through it, and you could see him like blinking. He's stroking out, and he's basically he's been a paraplegic ever since. He was too tough for his own good, and his corner failed him, and he's taken the beating of a lifetime, and he's lost complete control of his motor skills. He lives with his sister. She takes care of him full time. He's basically a vegetable.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
Only 3 losses too.
Oh, he was a beast. He was a monster.
Almost every win was like a KO or a TKO.
Yeah, they say pound for pound, he's one of the hardest punchers of all time. Yeah, and the guy, it ruined both careers because the guy who beat him was so like fucked up by it.
That was the same thing happened to Max Baer. Max Baer killed a guy. Again, that's a guy in Cinderella Man with Russell Crowe. He's like the antagonist, the bad guy, the guy that James J. Braddock beats for the belt. He killed a guy in the ring and started holding back.
Really?
Because because he was a good person. It hurt him. You know what I mean? Like it fucks up both people a lot of times. You know.